Dear colleagues, my name is Isabel Núñez and I'm a PhD in the University of Cadiz, and I'm going to present a conference paper called The Theory of Planned Behavior Regarding Gender Equality, Learning a Second Language and Linguistic Attitudes. This paper is inside the symposium named Communication and Social Nets, analyzing of the speech from a gender perspective, being its more representative keywords: empathy, gender equality, of course, foreign language teaching, linguistic attitudes, and social awareness. Then let's start with this paper that is a teacher's intervention based on gender equality in foreign language learning to modify some linguistic attitudes towards L2 of foreign language learning. Also, several activities in a 120 minutes face-to-face session are described. So, firstly, we are going to define gender equality. Gender equality means that women and men, girls and boys enjoy the same rights, resources, opportunities, and protections. Gender equality contributes to lifelong positive outcomes in learning. The way in which teachers teach gender equality in lessons is crucial to prevent gender bias in the classroom. By the age of 1, children distinguish between social categories such as gender. So, learning a second language and linguistic attitudes are usually conceptualized as a subject with just linguistic contents. However, the treatment of gender equality is crucial in order to get students' and parents' involvement towards these linguistic areas. Gender equality is a cross-curricular topic in Spanish schools, and for that reason we are going to cover with it because it's essential to include this topic in the standard curriculum. Gender equality will be covered in this paper from the development of the theory of planned behavior. The theory of planned behavior is determined by the principle of compatibility, proximal determinants of behavior, the determinants of intentions, and feedback effects from others. Thus, the theory of planned behavior has been used successfully to explain and predict behavior in a multitude of behavioral domains, and we can relate it with gender equality along learning a foreign language, modifying linguistic attitudes towards English, in this case, or L2, foreign language. So it's vital to establish from the theory of planned behavior an explicit definition of the behavior of interest in terms of its target aim. So then we strongly believe in the importance of gender equality as target topic of linguistic areas, and the treatment along learning being the action in both teacher's intervention through activities based on the treatment of gender equality language in the school context. The immediate antecedent of behavior in the theory of planned behavior is the intention to perform the behavior regarding gender equality and avoiding gender bias. Thus, the degree to which children of primary education have control over their gender bias and stereotypes depends on factors much related to student experiences and assistance provided by teachers. Traditionally, the teaching of a foreign language and linguistic attitudes don't cover gender issues. The treatment of contents about important women in the history or equal treatment, preventing gender bias, is a teaching strategy whose goal is to foster non-discrimination measures and promote girls' autonomy in schools. Then, resources, tasks, activities, exercises turn around gender equality in order to be updated in the foreign language and linguistic attitudes learning. In line with this, socio-emotional competence cover a basic core that is much related to gender equality, such as social awareness and empathy. Social awareness is the competence to take the perspective and empathize with others. On the other hand, we must say that empathy has got two domains. On the one hand, we've got an empathic cognitive view, and on the other hand, we've got an affective empathy in children development. With regards to teachers' intervention in lessons, they can raise students' empathy, and empathy are very related to sharing, helping, perspective taking, and other knowledges. In line with the theory of planned behavior, behavioral intentions are determined by attitude towards the behavior, as some authors stated, and a favorable attitude towards gender equality provides the motivation to act accordingly. Therefore, this paper consists of a teacher's intervention in foreign language lesson to make students aware of the importance of gender equality in their lifestyle. This proposal is inspired by Gender Equality Children Literature. Then a set of gender issues books are described. Consequently, covering gender topics from social awareness and empathy, competence allows eliminating gender disparities, which becomes a goal by 2030 in education. Consequently, interventions must be planned in an explicit way in order to avoid discrimination. Therefore, nowadays, gender stereotypes are out of date, and teachers have a crucial role in order to develop students' critical thinking toward those types of topics and turn children away from that gender bias to promote a school living together in our future generations. So the project turns around some goals and questions, such as how to plan a gender topic to break gender stereotypes in elementary children, and number two is how to avoid gender bias and raise gender equality awareness in primary students and their families. Regarding evaluation, we take into account the treatment of key competencies as lifelong learning. For example, social and civic competence by planning gender-based exercises that prevents gender bias in schools, or digital competence by interacting with video games to break gender stereotypes in these types of computers games. Regarding methodology about developing gender equality, some methodological foundations such as planning, cooperative techniques close to students, make an initial evaluation of students' attitude towards gender topics and their families, and bearing in mind that it's intended to promote gender equality by breaking gender bias and stereotypes. So we take some gender topics such as No Different Between Us, based on the famous gender storytelling written by Janine Sanders, as an example of how literature deals with this type of topics. So a set of activities are planned and implies to involve students in an active way in this type of teachers' intervention based on gender equality. And finally, we plan to make teachers aware of the importance of carry out these types of topics in lessons, especially in linguistic areas, where inclusive language and vocabulary around this topic is essential to build up positive attitudes towards gender equality. Then this is the end of this video. I hope you find interesting, and if you make some questions or ideas regarding our paper, we are happy to receive that. So thank you very much. Thank you for your attention.